Good morning. So here we are today at the beginning of Lent. It's a time for us to still our hearts and minds as we prepare and wait for Easter. We wait for 40 days. And there is a time to celebrate, but we aren't there yet in the church calendar. For now, we wait. 40 days, we were reflecting on that in the Bible study last week. We were saying that 40 days is a long time to wait. The Israelites in the desert had to wait 40 days for Moses to come down in Mount Sinai. Noah was in the ark, which we've just been reading about. He was in the ark with all the animals for 40 days. And Jesus was also in the wilderness for 40 days. And interestingly, he was also with animals. It says he was with the wild beasts and the angels looked after him. Reflecting on that, I wonder if he was afraid. I wonder if he was afraid of the wild beasts. He was human after all. Or if perhaps it was more like the Garden of Eden for him because he's God. Was it like heaven where the lion and the lamb were laid together? We don't know. But when we have this time to reflect, it's nice to play with that, to think about these things in our head. What would it be like? What did it feel like? What was he afraid of? We know he was tempted by Satan. Was he scared? What was he feeling in his time of wilderness? And what do we feel in our time of wilderness? I wonder about Noah and his family. Were they scared? Were the animals roaming around? Were they locked away? Were there any times when scary animals were let loose accidentally or something went wrong? We don't know. But it is interesting that when the flood was finished, God said, and this was in our reading today, that the covenant, the new covenant, would include the animals. And it says it 4 times. I'll read it to you again. I establish my covenant with you and with your descendants after you, also with every living creature to be found with you, birds, cattle, every wild beast with you, everything that came out of the ark, everything that lives on the earth, I establish my covenant with you. And then it goes on to say it's the covenant between myself and you and every living creature with you for all generations. When I gather the clouds over the earth, yada, 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 the covenant between myself and you and every living creature of every kind. Could it be that those things which might have been scary are still part of God's covenantal plan? He allows us time in the wilderness. He allows us a season of maybe being concerned and waiting. The land was full of sin, and God responded to the sin by getting them into the ark, but then making a covenant after their 40 days. God is merciful. Oh, he loves us so much. He's so merciful, and he knew that Noah and his family would sin again. And he knows that we will sin again. But it wasn't a conditional contract. If you do these things, then I will be your God. If you are really obedient and obey all my rules, then I will. He wants us to do those things. Of course he does. Life is so much better when we do it that way. But it's not a condition. It's a covenant. So he will do those things. He will be our God. And so here we are now in our time of Lent, beginning our 40 days in the wilderness. And we know that the beautiful cross and resurrection are to come. But for now, we wait. And we use this time to reflect in the waiting, to remember that God came. God came because of sin. And we, like the Israelites, who couldn't stand waiting for 40 days for Moses, we sin. We are like Noah and his family. And after 40 days in the ark, we will sin as they did. We, like all of humanity, are actually helpless, fallible, and sinful creatures. And I was really taken by today's reading, the ancient Psalm 24, which said, "Your ways, Lord, are faithful, and you love those who keep your covenant. Lord, make me know your ways. Lord, teach me your paths. Make me walk in your truth and teach me." In this time of Lent, I hope that we can all reflect on who God is and how he wants us to live, to walk in his ways and to walk in his truth, spending time with him each day, reading his word, praying, attending morning prayer, evening prayer, whatever, however it is that we engage with God and listen to him. The psalmist asks him to teach us, which means, like the students in the classroom, we want to be in the front, watching and not distracted by all the other things. This time of Lent gives us a chance to try and turn off some of those distractions, to sit in the front row and keep watching what the teacher is teaching us. We've now got 40 days in the front row of the class. And I'm praying for myself and I'm praying for all of us that this time of 40 days of Lent, that the Holy Spirit will awaken in us new ways of seeing Jesus, new ways to see and acknowledge our sin, to acknowledge that we fail time after time, and that God forgives us time after time. I do encourage you to join the Time Is Now Lent course and really take the time just to reflect, to think, to wonder, and to listen and learn. May God bless you this Lent and bless you this day.